The Panthers are red hot, but not without controversy as coach Joel Quenneville resigns amid the scandal of last week. We'll talk with the one and only Armando Velez about that and about all things Florida Panthers next on the Locked On NHL podcast.
Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, and we'd like to welcome right now from Locked On Florida Panthers, Armando Velez. Lots to talk about right now concerning your team. And first, want to thank everyone for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Armando, thank you so much for doing this. Let's start with the controversy that broke out last week in the midst of the sex abuse scandal. Joel Quenneville, who was in 2010 when the events took place, coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, had a meeting with the commissioner and then resigned as head coach of the Florida Panthers. Your initial reaction and your thoughts about the resignation?
It was something not surprising, for sure. And after the report came out, after Kyle Beach came out publicly saying everything, detailing the meeting in his office, saying how he couldn't know after the statement that he made back in July, saying that about first hearing it, it was just he put himself in a situation that it was going to be hard for him to keep his job. And I was telling you before we started recording that I found out while recording my episode for Friday's show that I found out mid-recording. So my listeners got to hear my raw reaction to Coach Quenneville resigning as the head coach of the Florida Panthers. But it was something that it was inevitable. It was not avoidable after everything, and it had to happen. It sucks for Coach Q, but more importantly, it sucks for Kyle Beach, because we're talking about human beings here. We're talking about everything that happened, about something that could have been solved right then and there, and choosing not to do something about it. And that is the worst part of it all, the trauma that Kyle Beach went through after people not believing him, letting him down and all that. And on the hockey side of things, it stinks for the Panthers. It really does. That, and especially after their game on Wednesday, where Kyle Beach, the interview with Rick Westhead of TSN came out, and an hour later, Coach Quenneville's behind the bench in Florida, which drew a lot more controversy, and he didn't speak to the media after. So it's like, why do you put him there behind the bench but not answer the media? And it was just confusing. And at that time, when they said that he was going to meet with the commissioner on Thursday, it was just time many people knew that it was time that was going to be his last game coaching the Panthers at that time.
And obviously, Coach Q has won, 3 Stanley Cups, second all time in wins among NHL coaches. And obviously this is going to put some tarnish on that previously wonderful legacy that he had.
Absolutely. And 1-2 more after that because that was his first Stanley Cup out of the 3. For the Panthers side of things, it was a splash when they originally hired him, because of course he's friends with Dale Talon, who's no longer with the organization, and the relationship actor between Talon and Q really helped bring him in, changed the culture on the ice. But of course, after this controversy, after this scandal that went on, it really leaves a bad taste in the mouth of fans, and for the Florida Panthers players. I really feel bad for them that they had to answer very difficult questions in a thing that they weren't involved in, and many Mackenzie Weegar. I wanna pinpoint something that he said after Friday's win against Detroit in overtime, that he talked about the veterans who stepped up. He talked about someone like Patrick Hornquist. He talked about someone like Joe Thornton, who Joe Thornton today has been placed on IR for the Florida Panthers. So he talked about the veteran leadership, about what happened after the fact of Joel Quenneville's resignation, how it brought the team together. And even though Coach Q's gone, his presence spiritually and emotionally is still in that locker room because those assistant coaches absorbed his team like a sponge, and it just won't go away overnight. And as far as the play on the ice, I never thought when that resignation happened that this Florida Panthers team would miss a beat. Sure, they lost on Saturday night in a shootout against Boston, but you went all the way to a shootout against your division rival after beating them 4-1 on last Wednesday. So this team is still a very, very talented team that Bill Zito was able to build. And you know, this is probably like my 10th time mentioning this throughout my podcast on Twitter, is cheer for the players of the Florida Panthers, celebrate them in their success and what they're doing in light of all of this controversy.
As far as the coaching situation is concerned, what is this team looking like going forward? Is the current situation an interim situation? Is it a permanent situation? How is this team going to respond long term?
Well, the interim head coach's name is Andrew Brunette. He played 1,100 games in the NHL, served as an assistant coach for the Florida Panthers for 3 years, was an assistant coach with the Minnesota Wild for a little bit, and an assistant GM too. So he has front office experience and assistant coaching experience during his time. So the resume was there for Andrew Brunette to become the interim head coach. And nothing told me that they were going to hire anyone from outside of the organization to change what was already the system there in Florida, of what was already passed down. And sure, Kevin Weeks did tweet about John Tortorella, but some of the players, especially Anthony Duclair, they don't have the greatest relationship with Anthony Duclair during their time in Columbus. John Tortorella flat out said that Anthony Duclair couldn't comprehend hockey. And Anthony Duclair right now for the Florida Panthers at this point in time is leading the Cats in goals with 6. So Anthony Duclair with this team had a rough start, had a whole bunch of assists, but he was having a hard time with his breakaways, finishing, and he's doing a better job finishing. There's also different players like Sergei Bobrovsky. There's Marcus Nudavara. There's also Zach Dalpe, who's an AHL who just got called up in light of Joe Thornton, and Anton Lundell. Anton Lundell's another one that went on IR on Friday. So there's plenty of other players who have played with John Tortorella. I get it. The general manager was with John Tortorella as well, and Bill Zito during his time in Columbus. So I get why. And John Tortorella came out on ESPN saying that Alexander Barkov is the best player in the NHL. I don't know what that statement meant, if that was a cry for wanting to become the head coach of the Panthers. And he said it publicly on ESPN that he hadn't had any talks with the Cats. I don't know if I buy that though, but because of their relationship. But I think it would be best to evaluate what Brunette has here now with the Cats, because this is still a very talented team that the Florida Panthers have. And if they're winning and Andrew Brunette's behind the bench, they're likely going to keep him if the performance reflects everything outside of that. And so I think they're just going to evaluate until the season ends. And the expectation for this Florida Panthers team still remains to not only make the playoffs, but go far into the playoffs. The Florida Panthers, 17 points out of a possible 18 in 9 games. So the expectation is just worry about winning hockey games right now. And then we'll reevaluate Andrew Brunette's position probably in the offseason.
You mentioned Sergei Bobrovsky. He has really been outstanding this year, a little bit shaky at times a year ago. What's been the difference in your mind watching him on a game in and game out basis?
As far as the difference between Sergei Bobrovsky is off the ice, he became a dad for the first time. So I ran with this thing called Dad Bob for Sergei Bobrovsky, and also he deleted social media as well. So it looks as if he eliminated a distraction based on that. So he's been off of social media. He became a dad, so it looked like he's more focused. And I'll tell you one other thing, Gil. I think he saw what happened with Spencer Knight being the last goalie standing in the first round, starting the last two games. Sure, Sergei Bobrovsky came in relief in game 3 when Chris Drieger gave up a few goals, and he won that game for Florida. But he saw that with Spencer Knight being the last goalie standing, that it was an extra motivation for him to have a great season. One thing that David Dork of WPLG Local 10 in South Florida talks about, who played the position of goalie, he talks about how Sergei Bobrovsky, when players are on the rush, that his skates are at the end of the crease. He's not going too much out, which leaves a little bit of a lower percentage shot for opposing players. So that's the difference that he's seeing in Sergei Bobrovsky, that he's not creeping up too much, especially on breakaways. I mean, and it's resulting in his numbers: 6-0-0, 1.81 goals against average, and a 944 save percentage.
Yeah, very impressive numbers, and good to see him getting his form back. Just real quick, wanted to talk a little bit about DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbors, best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. Armando, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find you on social media and where they could find your show?
They can find me on Twitter at MondoMan12. Follow the show account on Twitter at LO_FLA Panthers. They could follow the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast anywhere they listen to podcasts. And I highly recommend people to listen to Friday's show of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, as they hear my live reaction to Coach Quenneville resigning and what's to come after that. So definitely something that I recommend for people to listen to. And we're probably going to touch on the situation probably a few more times this week because the Florida Panthers do have 4 days off in between Saturday's game and when they host the Washington Capitals on Thursday.
All right. Well, it was a great moment, and I do recommend anyone to definitely check it out. And thank you so much, Armando, for doing this. And next time we have you here, we'll concentrate on the good stuff that your team is doing, and there's a lot of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Gil.
All right. Take care.